Welcome everybody to the Single on Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima and I'm a matchmaker and dating coach at Dream Bachelor and Bachelorette, and I'm also the founder of Single on Stilettos. Today we have on our show Dwayna Welch, and she's the author of Love Factually, 10 Proven Steps from I Wish to I Do. And today we're talking about why living together doesn't prepare you for more. So before we jump into it though, Dwayna, I would love for you to tell our audience what made you write this book, Love Factually.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show again, Suzanne. It's always a pleasure. Really, the reason I wrote the book is I wanted a science-based resource that would take me from before I met someone all the way until we decided whether or not to get married. And that resource didn't exist. So I was in graduate school pursuing a PhD in developmental psychology. I got my heart badly broken. I started looking around for resources to help me. And I found that there were a lot of scientists doing work on this, but none of them had written a book. And so I learned the information first for myself, and then people started asking me for a book after they saw how it worked for me. And so eventually that's what I did. It's the first science-based book for men and women from before you meet till you actually decide to commit.
Awesome. Well, so tell our audience why living together doesn't really prepare you for more.
Well, I think this is really quite shocking, and I'm prepared for all the hate mail that I'm going to get for saying this. And so I want to start out with a caveat, which is I thought, before I knew the science, I thought what everybody thinks. Surveys right now are showing that pretty much everyone thinks, hey, if I live with you first, it will make it less likely that we will divorce. We will get along better when we marry, if we marry, and we'll learn, if we break up, we'll learn more valuable things to carry forward into our next relationships, and basically that living together is a win-win. It just helps you in relationships. And watchers of the show today, I hate to tell you this, but there's research done all over the world, and there are a couple dozen studies done just here in the United States, and all of them show that every single one of those assumptions is wrong.
Now, why is that?
Well, of course, data are really good at showing us what is true. They're less adept at showing us why it is true.
Okay.
But the best minds in that field, and I'm referring mostly to Linda Waite here, who's done she's kind of the renowned international expert on cohabitation versus marriage. And she endorsed my book, yay! Dr. Waite thinks that the reason is that the more we live with someone, the more we practice not really being committed. The more we practice having one foot out the door, so that when we finally do get committed, we really we think that when we're in the same house with someone, we're just playing at it. We don't really fully do it. She says it's notable that there's one group where they live together before marriage and their marriages don't suffer as a result. So what I'm saying here is the people who live together first, their marriages suffer as a result. That's what the research shows, except for this one group. There's one group that is not likelier to divorce, not likelier to be unhappy. And that group is the people who already had their wedding date set when they moved in together.
That's interesting that you say that, because while you were talking about all those other things, that was actually in my head of a question to ask you, is if you just move in together without that commitment of marriage, I'm wondering, has any of the research that you've done shown that men are less likely or to ask a woman to marry them if they're living together?
That's a great question. Yes, men are less likely to ever propose if a woman moves in with them. I had a letter from a woman, ever propose. And if they do propose, they're more likely to have affairs. They're more likely to abandon the woman that they propose to. The marriage is more likely to end in divorce, and it's more likely to be unhappy. It's just not the win. Here's what research says most women hear when a guy says, would you like to move in with me? Most women hear, would you like to marry me someday? Ladies, if he didn't say, would you like to marry me, he didn't ask it. Because
good point.
No, when he wants to propose, he's not going to beat around the bush about it. He's going to say, will you marry me? My husband was so eager to marry me that he had planned this elaborate dinner and he was going to propose at this specific point in the meal. He didn't get in my front door to take me to dinner before he had popped the question, because he couldn't wait another minute. When men want to ask you, they ask you. They don't beat around the bush about this. They're not shy about proposing to the woman that they adore. So if he didn't ask, he didn't ask. So that's part of the issue is men tend to view moving in as an end in and of itself, and women tend to think that that same invitation was an invitation for marriage.
Well, and I think that goes into the women make the assumption that it actually means something more than it really means, whereas, like you said, men just look at it, this is it. That's it. They don't look at, all these other things. That's a really good point.
The way I put it is when a man says, will you move in with me? A woman hears, will you marry me someday? And a man hears, will you move in with me?
I love that you said that. I think all the women's mouths are dropping like mine did earlier. All right. Well, these have been some great tips, and I think they were really eye-opening for my audience. So, Dwayna, tell our audience how they can find you in your book.
So you can find me and my book at Amazon.com. Just type in my name, Dwayna Welch, or Love Factually. And the book is now available in paperback as well as ebook and audiobook. You can also find a free chapter of the book at my website, www.lovefactually.co.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the Single and Stiletto Show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you would like to view the videos, you can go to singleandstilettos.com. And if you'd like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. And if you would like to get our free ebook on the 3 secrets guaranteed to attract any man, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleandstilettos.com.